I don't got a lot to mention in this video, but I wanted to kind of point out I've been reading a lot of mystery novels lately. And I guess I got two things to point out, and one of them is kind of a side that I haven't sorted through yet. I just have a thought. But the first issue is we'll call it an issue. The first thing I want to talk about is, and it may be a problem, may slightly be an issue, is most incredibly, certainly a thing I'm going to talk about, regardless. There is mystery novels as the first video games. That would be like the title, right, of my paper. Flashy. It's a fun sentence for obviously anachronistic reasons. And then grammatically it barely works. But mystery novel, mystery novel, you think of puzzle, like there's a puzzle to solve. And I've talked about in other videos how the mystery novel gives you some clues, and part of the plot is about I'm recording a video. I just heard these thoughts I need to remember.
Okay, so I can talk to you?
Yeah.
How do we get away with paying Sam for this day?
She gets paid for today.
Okay.
Yeah. She needs to clock in. Go and talk to her about it and say, when are you
Oh
done?
no, I don't understand. You always talk.
Okay, I'll talk to her. But she should clock in today.
Right. Morning!
Marsha's here now. Okay, well, I'm getting bombarded on all sides. So, mystery novels, you think of puzzle, solve, but they are not. They're actually closer to game. But they don't have enough of what, they don't have enough necessary attributes to make the definition game usable, necessary, sufficient. It's not really a game, but they are more in common with game than they are with puzzle. So, and especially modern video games, right, as opposed to kind of your Super Mario's and let's take Zelda. So original Legend of Zelda, it did have this a little bit, but we can say there's certainly, in each instance of new and old Zelda, there's instances of puzzle solving. But in the original, there's no, there is actually. So I'm going to kind of actually backtrack there. A lot of rumbling in this one. As video games have gotten more modern, how could they not be more modern? That's a dumb way to say it. But as video games have progressed, they've become more forgiving and more compelling. They promise more reward instantly, right? Lots of little rewards. So you look at the new Zelda, you just walk around and cool stuff happens. You do cool stuff. You basically never fail. Sometimes you get stopped at a puzzle, but you can just leave, or a boss, but you can just leave. So you just kind of have this endless explorability and thing that draws you in. And that's how the mystery novel is. So on a normal puzzle, let's take a word puzzle. I would have A, B, C. That's it. It's stagnant. I sit there and I can think about it. I can go away and I can keep thinking about it. For the mystery novel, I know I can have A and B, and I can try to figure out C. In this case, who killed the person? Who done it? But eventually, I know I can go back, continue reading, and get D, E, F. Like the plot keeps going and it keeps continuing, like the modern video game. And it happens in such an easy way. Literally, no work. I already know how to read. All I have to do is pick up the book. I already just have the desire to do it just a little bit. And the next steps to the puzzle are just fed to me and fed to me and fed to me until ultimately I've either guessed correctly and finished the book, or I failed to guess and finish the book. Much in the same of a video game, the modern video game, where it's just kind of incrementally tiny little bits fed to you, and so you can never fail. There's almost no work put into the puzzle. There can be. So it's more of a test. I think this really interestingly might push us more when we think about theory of mind stuff, and they're like, why do we want to simulate real life. It could be to practice, and the two kind of ideas, maybe it could be to practice, or it could be confirmation, like my brain saying, oh, I am good at this, or it could be practice towards it. So I definitely think that pushes it into one camp. So you've got these incremental learnings. Sorry, they were talking about me. I want to hear what they're saying. So you have these incremental learnings that are very distracting. That don't take any work or anything like that. The puzzle is added onto it all the way until the conclusion. So if you had a word problem, it would just be added on another word, another word, another word, another word, or another line, until you really, the answer just becomes so obvious, like someone giving you hints. And the hints are always immediately accessible. Which means that, so back to what I was saying, it takes one of those camps because it's not really it is kind of learning. So I guess it puts it in both camps, but it's not like a puzzle where it's about learning how to do it, working it through no matter what. It's more about, can I do it now without giving more information? Okay, so this is a subtle but important point. So it's not about, and I'll repeat it more for myself for anything, it's either just turned on. It's not about solving the puzzle. It's about solving the puzzle before the most amount of clues come out. Tacitly, right? Because your brain is so drawn to the next clues that come out, you have to solve the puzzle without really trying. Does that make sense? So I explicitly do, and I understand not a lot of people probably do this, and I don't always do this when I'm really engaged. It would be incorrect, or any of you that are really engaged in literature, or a novel, it would be incorrect to say that you're doing this explicitly, by definition. But yeah, so you're not going to be trying to solve the puzzle. You may solve the puzzle with a certain amount of clues given. But what you're really being drawn to is the release of those clues. And then you're looking for that reward for the solve, but you're engaged in the clue finding. And it can happen explicitly very easily, but I know it does happen implicitly. That's, most people read fiction novels and don't sit there after each character has a monologue and think, how does this work into my theory of who done it? And some might, and that happens on varying levels. But that, I think it shows that that it's reading novels has a lot to do with your brain saying, good job, this is how you do it. And then, as a side, passively learning. Right? It's a very passive, very good, fiction is a very, 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 very subtle way. And I might even say the most. I think myth, then fiction novels are in that order, myth being the most subtle ways that we learn, and that ideas and thoughts and stuff creep into you, from culture down to you. I shouldn't put culture up here and you down there, but you understand. Ideas that exist in the zeitgeist, enter your specific thought processes through first myth, then fiction. And I think it's because of this. Like, you're drawn into it. The learning process is so efficient.